Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. This is the best round two that I've ever looked forward to because we were just talking about off air. This is the most anticipated one because this is going to be another repeat guest that we have today with Mr. Hunter Hampton again. And there were so many things that we wanted to get to last time that were cut off by my caveman Wi-Fi. Like I had the first router ever made back in Detroit when Henry Ford first discovered the car. And so, Colin, before you started the intro, I just wanted to make it known that this is the most anticipated repeat round two redemption that I've wanted to get for my entire life. And I'm ready to make it happen. What do we have today, Colin?
You have brought it up multiple times that you wanted.
Multiple times. Yeah.
Hunter
Pretty much every week we talk about a guest. I'm like, listen, I don't care who we get. Like, we have Barack Obama lined up, but I'm ready to fire him right now to get Hunter back on for round two.
Well, so one of my favorite things about doing this podcast, like in all honesty, is getting to like sit down with people who like, one, make us laugh, but two, like make us think. And Hunter is he's a professor, a historian, a theologian. He's the guy who can talk about college football and faith in the same breath. I mean, we'll get into that a little bit, but a little bit about Hunter. He teaches at Stephen F. Austin. He writes about the intersection of sports and religion in America. He just released his brand new book called The Gridiron Gospel: Faith in College Football in 20th-Century America. We're going to get into how faith found its way into football, what the game can teach us about calling and community, and how Hunter loves teaching and also make some really good pizza that my wife gets to have tomorrow that I don't get to have. And we're going to tie it all back to the same purpose of what Hunter does. He feeds people, whether it's with ideas or dough. So I'm really excited to get back into this so we can actually have good internet and talk about things. And you can bring up more history stuff like Henry Ford in the car that he can call you out on because he's a historian. And then we'll go from there. So Hunter, thank you for coming back. Thank you for being gracious enough to give us another shot.
Give us another shot.
Happy to be here. Favorite Henry Ford fact that I'll hit you with is he's an interesting guy because he creates, essentially, I think he creates modernity with the car, right? Car gives so much freedom and changes society, but he really hated the world that he created. He hated modern America. And so he would throw these super elaborate parties and people thought that they were going to be going to the coolest party in the world. I mean, it's Henry Ford, right? I mean, imagine being invited by just like to a Jeff Bezos party, right? Like you're just like, this is going to be like pretty swank and awesome. And they would show up and like, this is in time when like jazz and Great Gatsby, like you think you're going to that sort of party, and they would show up, and he loved like old school America. And so like pre-car world. And so people would show up and do like the lamest, oldest dances that their grandmothers did. And so like,
It's like the
they
first
thought they were
line
going
dance
to the
ever.
great, like they thought that they were going to the super swank party. And then Henry Ford is just like, no. So it'd be like, again, like think you're going to the coolest party in the world. And we're like, no, we are unironically going to do the Macarena.
We're doing the twist with our grandma
tonight. Yes.
It's like, Henry, you can't do any better than that. Like, we can't see a flying car. We can't see into the future. It's like you're going to play a violin and dance for us and like a kilt.
Yes.
That's it.
Yep, that's it.
This is
that's
not what I
the
signed up
parties
for,
were.
dude.
Yeah, not at all. So anyway, brought up Henry Ford. That's my favorite.
No, that's fine.
I
I was just making a really stupid joke because this is a redemption story that I've waited so long for. And starting from that, there's just so many things that we didn't get to get into on the back end, but I guess we can start kind of where we wrapped up because there's been a lot. And I was telling you before we got on, like you have the coolest reason that you weren't able to join us last week because you were busy flying to like Southeast Asia to go save whales and write a book at the same time. But you know, since the last time you were on, like give us, and that's kind of what we'll delve into first. Like give us a little bit of an update about what's changed since you've last been on.
Yeah. Since last time I'm on, I've submitted my book. It's coming out December 3rd. You can pre-order it now, get just in time for it to go under your Christmas tree or in your stocking. So book's coming out, and it's been interesting. I'm really excited, and we can talk about, you know, that faith in college football, but it's funny that I quit working on it probably 7 months ago now. Was kind of like when I had like my hands on, like they're like, okay, this is the last time you can change it. And that is a very scary email to hit submit on. It's like, no more edits, right? Like this is the thing that is going out into the world that anybody in the world can buy. So, but since then, I've been working on my next book project, which is going to be on the old Dallas Cowboys football coach, Tom Landry. So, sometimes this is like maybe the closest I will ever feel to being like a movie star. But, when they film a movie, they work on it like for a very long time. And then like it is months, if not years, until it comes out. And they're just like, well, what were you thinking? And it's like, I don't really remember, so long ago.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that in my book. So I do know it. I wrote it. But in the same way, I'm diving into my second book project and trying to line up interviews with all these old Dallas Cowboy players, which has been tons of fun.
Yeah, that's just an undertaking of itself. But with your first book, I know you said it was obviously a long time, and then like what you were talking about in the last episode is like you can always find a better word. Like you feel like you were always looking to change something. Like you said, you never necessarily finished the book; you just kind of stopped working on it. But like, where does someone start? Like, I wouldn't put myself in that situation, but say I'm writing a book about like Henry Ford or something like that. In your first book, like when you sat down for the first time, it's like, okay, what is the first step? I know there's going to be, don't try to look ahead to step 100, but what's step one of sitting down? And like, what was your main inspiration to kind of combine? Cause like both of those books are just so unique because you're combining things that I don't think anybody from any book that I can remember reading have ever combined together. So like, what was the initial inspiration behind the first one?
Yeah, so the first one started as my dissertation at the University of Missouri, and so as a part of your graduate school is like you your PhD in history, you have to write a history book, and no one tells you how to do that. There's no class on how to do this. You read a bunch of books, and you kind of read people you like and take inspiration from that. For me, the inspiration I think of the book, and I think this is pretty common for a lot of historians is research is a bit of kind of self-exploration, right? Of trying to understand the world that we kind of currently inhabit and how did we get here? Like how did we get to this place that we are now? And as I was thinking about this, and it's crazy to say this, but this would have been like it's like 13 years ago is when like the original idea of this. So it was like 2012, 2013, 2014. And so like Tim Tebow is just like peak Tebow at this time,
yeah.
and like SNL skits on Tebow are happening and everyone is like doing the Tebowing thing. And I'm just like, man, this guy who is a great college player, terrible NFL player, but for that, right? For his footballing ability, has a really elevated platform in American Christianity. And he's a missionary kid, so he has some exposure to the life and work of ministry, but like doesn't have a seminary degree, is not like people don't love him because he's like a very deep thinker or like the most eloquent speaker. It is his talent on the football field that gives him an elevated platform and some sort of like religious authority. And like I had family members who are like paying to go and see and hear Tim Tebow give a sermon. And I was just thinking, I'm like, it's not weird. I think that's the
I
thing
have
that hit
both of
me.
his books
I was
on the
like,
shelf right here. Yeah.
I know
yeah,
I have a couple over here too.
for sure. Like, and again, like I think for me, the thing is like, this is kind of weird, but the weird thing is that it's not weird.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, no one was questioning or
Mm.
wondering like, wow, like, why are we listening to this kind of quarterback who didn't fully succeed?
jock.
You know what I mean? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, how did we get to Tim Tebow? Like, how
Yeah.
did this come to be? Because everything has a history. And so I loved sports, grew up playing sports, grew up watching sports, loving sports, and grew up in the church. And so for me, it was a bit of self exploration, just like, how did we get to this point in the world? And so that's where my project started. Advice that I give to people is to students or someone that's starting a project is start with stuff that you're interested in.
No doubt.
stuff that you want to do, because when you're doing that, it's not work. Like right now for my research, I am watching old Dallas Cowboy highlights. I am
Nice.
reading history books about the Cowboys. Like I love the and so like, but it is work. I am doing research and I am doing like part of my job and doing that, but it is just so enjoyable. And so I think sometimes people run away from that. And I always encourage students and people is like, lean into that, lean into who you are, lean into what you want to do,
No doubt.
because it is a long, slow, and hard process to get through. So if you enjoy it, makes it much easier.
Well, let me
Well,
ask you
especially,
this.
yeah.
You're talking about like Tebow being a jock and using faith, that aspect, and you have like kind of the opposite. So I want to talking about your book as a theologian and a professor and a historian who knows the history of the sport and faith. Like, why did you use football as a vehicle for faith on the opposite spectrum of like knowing the background knowledge and able to like discuss it at an intellectual level?
Again, for me as a historian in the book, it's mostly like understanding how football like became this pathway and how it became a tool for shaping people's faith. And what I get into in the book and what I show is that football is just like really flexible as a tool, and the meaning that you can find in all sports is in that. But football from the get-go is just a sport that like we just accept its flexibility. I'm pretty sure everybody watches the NFL, right? Like that's the power of the NFL.
Yeah,
But
Alex
the
is
NFL
even a
just like,
Steelers fan for some reason.
oh,
So he watches it painfully.
as a Cowboys fan, I do too.
Yeah.
But the NFL is just like, yeah, we're just completely changing the kickoff. It looks like nothing a kickoff has ever looked like ever before, and we're just like, yeah, okay, right? And they're just like, this is a catch. No, it's not a catch. Now
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
what a catch looks. You know what I mean? Like the rules
Overtime
in
is crazy.
football, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's just constantly, and that has been the history of football. I mean, the reason it's called a gridiron is that early football, when they're just trying to figure out what the rules looked like a grid. It looked like a waffle iron. And so as you move from one square to the next, that is how you got first downs.
By the way, I am a football coach, and I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's why it's
I was
called a
like, wow,
gridiron. There you go.
I need to give you my keys and my whistle, and just maybe we can trade places or something, and I'll just go
No,
study
that's
Henry
it.
Ford for a little bit. Wow, I did
This
not
is
know
the
that.
thing.
That just blew my
Yeah.
mind, Hunter.
This is a goal. Like, one of my goals as a historian is just to make people more interesting. So you're welcome for that, Dustin.
That's free.
Wow.
But yeah,
I'm gonna
like,
tell
in
my
that
kids
way-
that like I came up with that.
That's good. That's good. We all know where it came from. But in that way, rules for football always change and meaning always changes. Whereas like for baseball, it took them a century insert the pitch clock, right? And in baseball, changing the slightest rule is just like, well, what does
Extra
that mean to
inning
our
rule.
stats? Right? Yeah, like
people
and
freak out.
might be controversial. I think baseball saved itself. I think this
I
last
agree.
World Series proved that. Like with the shift and things like that, and again, I'm sorry to be a historian, but like things that had been a hit for 120 years, all of a sudden with the shift was not a hit. And so like now it looks like baseball, it feels like baseball. So back to the question about football, is football could and has and always shifts. The other thing that I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to focus on something specific. I knew I wanted to do a sport, but when you think about a project, you've got to kind of like build walls of like, I can't write on everything. I can't do it all. And so one of the things I look at throughout the book is, what does it mean specifically to be a Christian man? Like what in these different kind of groups, like, and so looking at kind of men and masculinity and what that means, football is an easy choice for me because there has never been and still isn't any organized female component of this. Within the first week of James Naismith inventing basketball, women start playing basketball. The invention of volleyball is intentionally actually created for old men to play. and built and made. I think, Colin, I texted you this a long time ago. I think originally there was like 18 or 20 guys per side in volleyball.
Yes.
So
Whoa. That is
so
a
that you didn't move.
madhouse.
Yeah.
Well, no,
You didn't-
so you didn't move.
You just
Right?
had to
It's
hit
like,
it
if you're
over.
old and you can't move, yeah, like you just kind of like constantly hit it back and
Wow.
forth, and like that was the point of the game. And like obviously, like you go to volleyball games now, and like
Much
they're
different.
very
Flying
aggressive.
around.
Yeah, and so fun. But in the same way, volleyball, right, is created for old men, and I think because of that, in some ways, like shapes how it becomes a predominantly female sport now. But in that, choosing football gave me a real focus, so that I could just kind of focus on men. And again, that gets back to the Tebow side of things, right? Like understanding Tebow, like, and his appeal. A big part of it was him like running around. There's this image when he was with the Jets of like running. I mean, when Sports Center, like they house themselves at the Jets, like training camp, just
Mhm.
because Tebow was on their team. He
No
wasn't
doubt.
good,
Yeah.
but like he was there, and like it was like a rainy day, and it looked like a '90s rom-com of Tim Tebow's muscular self like running through the rain, and
Yeah,
Sports Center
shirt
just
off,
like,
just running wind
yeah,
sprints for fun. It's
exactly.
like, look at this
Background on my
guy, so
phone.
motivated.
Look at him, right?
It's
Yeah,
so weird, right?
yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of the long story behind why football.
Well, it's just such a unique connection, like something with such different ideologies that kind of mix together and almost one as a vessel to teach about another. Like, what are the most surprising things you found when you were kind of diving into both those things? And then what are the most like interesting connections you made between faith and football as you were kind of working on this?
You know, as I've thought about this, one of the things that came up in the book is that the meaning that students and athletes as separate groups, right, found in the game depended a lot on the success of a team. And I found that, again, kind of reflecting on it, pretty interesting. So each chapter, it looks at a different school that kind of represents a different religious group. And so one of the chapters is on Wheaton College, which is a small Christian liberal arts college outside of Chicago. And for the longest time, they were just awful. Like, a good year was them winning going 4-6, and they're just like pretty successful. You know, like they were never threatened. Like if they had a winning season, it was great.
Celebrating.
And yes, like, oh my gosh, we have a winning record. And again, this is for decades. And so in that, why are you doing this? Why are you playing this game? And football is still violent. One of the things in the book that I weave in there is like, football is so soft compared to the football back then. I mean, it was so, I mean, players regularly lost their life playing football because of the injuries. And so in that, if you're going to play this game, right, this incredibly violent, aggressive game, why are you going to do that if you can't win? Right? If winning is not the reason to join the team, what do we play for? And what I found is that, or what I kind of noticed, is that the worse a team was, the more emphasis that they put on kind of like the spiritual development side of the game and the personal development side of the game. It's like, why are we going to sacrifice? Why are we going to do this to ourselves? And at places like Wheaton is, well, because it's going to make you a better Christian. It's going to make you strong, like a stronger man. It's going to prepare you. We did a lot of missions. It's going to make you a better missionary when you go out from here. It's an evangelism tool. And so like all of the spiritual side actually got like really elevated at places like Wheaton, and at places, I have a chapter on BYU saying like when BYU is not very good, their campus kind of does the same thing. But as schools actually start to win, you kind of see winning become the focus. And in that, it's not that it doesn't have a spiritual purpose, but the spiritual purpose is exposure, right? We're interacting with more schools, bigger schools
Like when
through the
Baylor hit
success
it
of our
big.
football team. Yeah, so
Notre
like as
Dame.
Baylor
Yeah.
succeeds,
Yeah.
no, and Notre Dame, right? Yeah, through their success, what are we doing? We're exposing ourselves to more non-Catholic schools. So
Baylor was definitely
I think
exposing
that's
themselves. Sorry.
Man.
I don't think anybody did any deep dives on that right there. So
We can,
anyway, curveball, am I right? So did you find any extreme examples of, like, I don't want to dwell on the Baylor thing, but like, is it about keeping the balance of, if you are rooted in faith, and not to say that you could go too far, but did you see any examples where football became more important, or they kind of use the spiritual thing as just more of a gateway to become more notarized? Like, did you see any kind of examples when you were like, man, they kind of swung, or they kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, they took
Like they
advantage
let the
of,
fame get it to them when it became more
no
about football
doubt,
than faith.
or vice versa. Like, maybe they just kind of use the faith to propel themselves up in the football name more thing. Like, any instances of kind of more of the abusive way to use one of those two things?
Yeah, what I'd say is it's more of just like a constant tension at these schools and football is an interesting kind of place to examine these tensions. And it's like, what are we really trying to do? And football kind of pulls in different directions, and it does give them an avenue, right? It is a front porch to a university. It does expose you to so many other people and for these schools, right? Like outside of your religious community, and it can be evangelism. It can be this great tool to train us. And there's like, but we can also win and make a bunch of money. Later on, like we can make money. And so the tension is like, how do they balance that? And
No doubt.
it's interesting. You can see at schools, it really is almost like a back and forth. And that what do you do? What are we gonna do? And like a couple of interesting cases of that. I'll give you two examples. One happens at Wheaton College when after World War II, they have this player. He's actually my good friend's granddad, of all the weirdest twists.
It's wild.
And yeah, like I had no idea, but he was just like, you need to interview my granddad. He played football at Wheaton. And I had like already written my chapter on Wheaton, and I got to talk to him, and he's a great man. His name's Chuck Shanehair. And he was just, so he went and played football at Maryland for his freshman year, and then got drafted into World War II, goes and serves, actually plays kind of like semi-pro football throughout World War II. Like his service he was on what's called a service team for the Marines. And so like they would get all of like the best college football players, and his military service was playing football to entertain the troops that were coming back.
wow.
Yeah. And like, so then then he's discharged from the military, and he's like 24 years old, 23 years old, and just been playing again, kind of like semi-pro football for 4 years. And he goes to Wheaton College, this tiny Division III Christian school, and is an absolute football god. he just destroys. But for him, like, he went there mostly because his parents told him that he wanted to, and he was just like, fine, whatever. But it's an interesting story because he actually like received votes for the Heisman. I mean, like he is incredible. I mean,
Holy cow.
He gets drafted by the Los Angeles Rams in the NFL. And this poses a real problem for Wheaton. Like, one, for the first time, Wheaton is winning, and like he is just incredible, and they're like winning conference championships, and like he succeeds and he gets drafted. But the problem is the NFL is played on Sunday, and at this time for Wheaton, still breaking the Sabbath was not a good
So that's
look.
like the ultimate.
Right. And so the president of Wheaton is actually like terrified. Like, what do we do?
Wow.
Our most famous athlete, and at that time still student, is going to go and like publicly break the Sabbath. every week. Like, this is a big problem.
Yeah, every
so-
single week. Like not
Every
just
single week,
once
on
a
right.
prime time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, with millions of people watching.
Yeah. So, well, the NFL was,
This is a long time ago.
yeah, this was a long time ago. But anyway, the president actually called him into his office and was like, hey, like, what are you going to do? And he was like, I'm not interested in playing in the NFL. Like, at this time, the NFL was at like barely early stages. And like most people thought it wasn't going to survive at all. And so he ended up not playing. And the president was just kind of like, woof, like, dodged
Crisis
a bullet
averted.
there. Yeah. But again, so for that school, it's like, what will we do to succeed? And I think it's interesting about Shane here when he was let in, Wheaton had like really strict like rules for athletes and all students to follow, and he didn't meet any of them. He wouldn't even identify as a Christian. He like drank heavily, smoked a couple of packs of cigarettes a day, and like at Wheaton, you couldn't go to a movie theater. So you definitely couldn't. So you definitely couldn't be drinking and smoking. And he was
Yeah,
like,
so
"No,
he'd be
we'd
sitting on his
sneak out and do-"
tailgate just puffing on a camel like not a care in the world.
But like actually like converted to Christianity and like became a Christian, strong Christian through his time at Wheaton. But Wheaton let him in because he was such a good football player. And so in that one, it kind of played out. Another example, I think, that is kind of an interesting one and a more modern one is at Liberty, which is is my last chapter.
Flames, baby.
Yeah, and Liberty is fascinating for 1,000 different reasons, but I mean, their hiring of Hugh Freeze is
after the
like-
whole Ole Miss incident. That's very
Yeah, I
they
mean,
hired
like,
him, I was like, oof.
he's fired from Ole Miss for calling sex workers from his Ole Miss like state
School
paid for cell
phone in
phone.
his office called strippers.
Right.
Could happen to anyone.
And then
so,
was like, I dialed the wrong number. Specifically
It's
to
like-
the strip club.
It's the wrong Donald Trump.
and it was like
I thought this
it
was
was like
pizza.
27 times. Yes, like
20 is a big number.
This is
yeah,
a Domino's.
right. And again, if Ole Miss is firing you for something like that,
Yeah,
That's a great point. That's a great
know,
point.
he's not getting fired from Liberty. He's getting fired from Ole Miss, which, as an Arkansas fan, I can say and take that shot.
Well, isn't there
And
like
we're all day,
motto
every
like
day.
hottie tot? Like it involves drinking. It's not
Yeah,
a
for
great.
sure.
Yeah.
Right. I have good friends that went to Ole Miss. They're wonderful people. It is not known as a moral bastion of higher education. But
Nice.
When they have Lane
But
Kiffin
they barely
right
have
now.
any. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
but-
barely have any classes there, am I right?
But the thing about Liberty is that they actually, not only did they hire Hugh Freeze, they fired their coach who had actually like ushered them into D1. I can't remember his name. He was at Kansas and then went to Liberty and like had success and was like building a program at Liberty. And then Hugh Freeze became available and he was like this very tarnished object, but like
Good
a
for
really good
Liberty.
football coach.
Yeah.
A good football coach, right? Like they're never going to have a chance to hire a coach of that caliber. And so they're willing to do that. And, you know, for me, it's interesting to see the students like, how do you justify this, right? Like, how do you justify as a campus, again, with like very heavy restrictions put on the student body, someone that's like overtly not living up to those standards? How do you justify that? And like, what does it cost you and what do you get? Is again like a constant tension that these places are played out.
Well, I got to tell you, like we have your book pre-ordered. I cannot wait for it to
Oh,
come
good.
in. I'm gonna get an autographed version.
Ooh.
Also,
Since you've been on the podcast all of that time ago when the internet didn't work, it's like honestly like taking a turn. We've had authors, we've had preachers, we've had like it's turned into like the past couple months have been like this faith oriented direction of the podcast, which has been really cool to see. So I'm wondering as we talk about your book and then talk about your work, because you talked about how you like connect your academic work in your classroom with faith. Was there any point in the book where you saw your like faith come into question, or did it solidify, or were you like presented a new idea you hadn't thought of. What did that look like? One, in your book writing, but two, how you're able to teach it in the classroom, touching those same topics.
Yeah, boy, that's a great question, Colin. I'll try to take it take it in a couple of different facets. For my teaching, it does shape what I teach and how I teach it, and it's just kind of given me more things to hit on and cover. I'm teaching a sport and American history class right now, and I think for me, I think students, especially now, just really resonate with anything that's authentic. And I think they just have a real nose for when you're faking it, or when you're half in, or when you're not really there, or when you don't care. Like they know when you're just kind of mailing it in. And so what I have done is related to the book is like weave more of myself and more of that book and parts of the book into my class. And like in doing that, like I'm passionate about it. I love it. And I think they just kind of feel that, and like they really enjoy learning about that too. I also think, I mean, and this is from friends of mine, there's kind of a revival going on right now in football, specifically college football. And you see a lot more public displays of faith there. And so I think college students and college football players right now are kind of resonating with them in a different way. So anyway, as far as teaching goes, I think that's what I'm there. Personally, as a Razorback fan of all Razorback sports, it does make me question the role of God in sports. That's a joke. It's hard being a Hog fan out there.
And why does he not favor Pig Suey?
Yes, and I do. I have a young daughter, and for some reason, my wife's an Aggie, and like she's just like really going. She's like leaning into the Hogs. I'm like, I don't know if this is right.
Don't do
Maybe,
it.
like I'm like I don't want to push you to be an Aggie, but man, I don't know if you want this life. I don't
She's like,
think
I
you
like
want this life.
pigs over male cheerleaders. This is good for me.
Yeah,
Get behind it.
This seems morally correct.
But I think the thing for me that I've kind of reflected on a lot is as this comes about, and as people find faith and meaning in sports, the thinking more deeply about what that means and what that really means about this, and what does it say about your identity as a person, identity as a person of faith, and identity as an athlete. And those three things often, and I don't think should be separated, right? Like those three things are very much intertwined. And what does it mean when you find so much of yourself, so much of your identity as an athlete, and that is what you are? And for 99.98% of the world, that ends when you're 18. And then, like, I mean, I see this, and again, my daughter's 4. These 4-year-old kids that are playing like whole sports, and all they are doing is sports, and sports is just like they are literally playing sports 5 days a week in different organized leagues constantly. The odds that those kids are going to play sports for the rest of their life on a competitive level is so small. It's like that is all you are. Like, what does it mean? What does that mean when it's taken away? Well, if what does it mean when you pray and pray and pray and pray and believe like God is going to help you win and you lose, right? Did you pray wrong, right? Like, did you read the wrong Bible verse before the game in the pep rally? And like,
wrong eye
answer
black.
to that, right? Yeah, like, hey, I didn't write the right verse, and I mean, that's making light of it, but like truly, like how does that impact your view of God, your view of faith, your view of yourself? And it's something that, again, like an overly optimistic hope of the book is that as you read about this and you think about it more, that you kind of like play out the implications of that. It's like, praying to win a game. I don't think it's bad. Like what happens then to your faith, right? And like, does that now mean, or does it lead someone to think like God doesn't exist because I hit this volleyball into the net or I fumbled the ball, right?
Well, let me ask you.
I think
I'm not clip farming, I promise. But
yeah,
so like growing up in Salina, which was like a very like faith, like you prayed before games over the loudspeaker very publicly. But we were always like, you never pray to win. Like you pray that you do your best and that whatever. I'm like, but like as I've like grown and learned, is it okay to pray to win? Because it's not like you're fooling God, right? It's kind of like the thing of like pray what's on your heart. And if you're like, this is not a woman thing, it was just my first thought. If you're a woman who's like looking for a husband and you're like you want to marry a rich doctor who is very good looking, but you're praying like, oh, just like put the right person in front of me, even though that's not what your heart wants. Like you're not fooling God. Like, do you pray what's on your heart and then hope as you develop with your faith, your changes for what's directly aligned with God, but that's not where you are at that moment. I don't know if I worded that correctly.
No, you're good. Yeah, I know I'm tracking with you. And I mean, I don't think there's an easy answer
You're the doctor.
to that. Yeah.
You got to
but
get
I
the
think,
talent off. You know what I mean?
But I think there's just like such a risk in that, in seeking just the wins, and that can become an identity, and that the competition is the goal. In that, like, if you kind of look at references, specifically in the New Testament, to like the role of competition and running the race and things like that, like the race is the important part. Like the running is the important part. It's not like pray that you win the race. It is the journey of the race, right? And so I understand. I mean, and like it is competition, and you do want to win, but I think seeking out only winning, I don't think that is a healthy view of like what sport should be doing for people and for people of faith. And that like you're looking for the development, for the meaning, like for the lessons, both good and bad, because the purpose of the sport ultimately shouldn't be winning. I mean, it is, right? Like the games and rules and points, and like it is to win, but like if you are looking to win the game, that is one focus. But like if you are focused in your life is winning, there are plenty of athletes that's it, and that like that shapes who you are. It shapes how you think. That shapes what you do. I just lectured on Lance Armstrong yesterday. Lance will do anything to win, anything, right? Like he will he will also squish people and like ruin their lives to defend his winning. Like I think he is kind of like the embodiment of like winning at all cost in 100%. Everything. Win a lawsuit, and like it's just kind of ingrained in him. And so like if that is your end goal, if you want to win, like that is a path for life that you can take in sports. But if you do want this spiritual faith development in your sport, then like winning is not the point, right? Like your development as a person and as a person of faith, like that's the point. And so you're going to learn things, and like you might learn bad things about yourself by winning.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Right.
I threw
right.
a clipboard at it.
But you learn, like I had like my life was disordered to prioritize this to make me win, and it shouldn't be that. It should be this way. Or in a loss, the same thing, but like the purpose is the development. The purpose is not necessarily just the winning.
100%. And I think it goes back to that tension that you were talking about keeping that balance of, okay, I'm praying for a win on the field, but selfishly that means that I'm going to be able to make the plays. I'm going to be able to be as successful as possible because I win, I guess relative to how do we glorify God through the way that I play. And then if the outcome happens to be a win, at least I'm still glorifying God. So I think a lot of people, and you could probably speak on that in today's society. And then as you get up kind of higher in the ranks with college, I think when you throw money into the mix, or you start getting a person to think about how can everything work for me, I think they also kind of pull God in that circle. It's like, what do you revolve around, or what do you think revolves around you type deal. So if you start to think that you're the center of your universe and the money should be coming my way and the play should be coming my way and the win should be coming my way, I think the intention of your heart, just like Colin was talking about, turns into that selfish desire of, well, God should let me win, instead of, okay, whether I win, lose, I'm successful, I have a 10-year career in the NFL, or I go work for, a business for the rest of my life. I think the intention of my heart to glorify God should be over any kind of athletic achievement that I could ever have. So I think a lot of people probably get that mixed up as far as, everything starts working because of me, when in all reality, it's not like God's sitting there before kickoff and it's like, okay, well, Gatesville had 57 people praying and Waco Conley only had 47. So it looks like they're going to win the game. So I think he's not keeping score right before the game. And it's like, well, Colin did pray that he wanted to have a big game behind the net. So I'm going to let him get as many kills as he possibly wants. It's just like,
he had his fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. I think as soon as people start expecting things to happen for them to have the success, and I guess instead of God being glorified, I think that's where you could really run into some problems. And I think that's where society has kind of gone to today, because like you said, you probably see this better than anybody. Like, where have you seen kind of this cultural shift go of, I think, like you said, there's so much self-assessment going on that at some point you have to find something to believe in. So I think in today's society about self-love and, find yourself, be yourself, love yourself. Well, at a certain point, you realize that you are just yourself and there's something bigger. So people fall into politics or their favorite NFL or college team or anything like that. Like, where have you seen the culture shift in that aspect of, there could be a great revival, but there's also a lot of people that are hanging on to the Republican or Democrat party like their life depends on it. Like, that's the Bible itself,
Yeah, I think our right now, I'm not going to even begin to act like I understand what's going on in our society, other than I think people, and I see this again. I'm going to use my students. I think they're looking for something real, and I think our world is just becoming more and more synthetic and truly not being able to differentiate again from what's like real and what's fake. And I just as an academic and like as someone who like thinks that they revolve and like and works in something related to a fact, right? Like, facts are always up for interpretation, but like these things happen. They actually happen. These are actual historical events, and like people actually said these words. But like we're in a time now where it's like anything is real, and like again, we don't know. Like Colin, he's like, well, that's not real, right? Like you made a comment like they're talking about a different Donald Trump, and you're just like, yeah, like it's like you can just the line between what's real and what's fake, and like you see these videos with AI videos, and I'm just like, I can't tell, right? Like so you can't tell, and so
it's crazy.
I think it is wild, and so I think young people in particular just feel really disoriented, and I think it's interesting to see how many of them are drawn to something that promises them something more than just themselves.
Well, that's
And I
the
think,
thing.
yeah,
People right now are. I've talked about this on a previous episode. Like in our culture, not just like kids, but like people have tried drugs. They've tried drinking. They've tried depending on themselves. And like the revival is not just like college athletes. It's across the world. Like I listen to all these preachers,
100%.
and they're at the end of the year, and that's just whatever. They're trying to get all this additional financials to upgrade their auditorium and get more seating because they can't fit people in their churches right now. And of course, the holidays naturally bring more people there because we've gone through the whole year. We're ready to start over. Our families are begging us to, like, whatever your argument may be. But like people are finally like not even giving in, but willing to listen. And I think people are doing a good job of giving information that they are passionate about. Like you said in your classroom, like you could be like, oh yes, I love Jesus and history, and that's how I get paid. Or you could be like, this is how I live my life every day. And people are like, I want that, like the authenticity of what you're giving me.
No doubt. Well, I think it comes down to what message you're preaching, who's preaching it, and what's the vessel you're using. Like, a lot of people get on this right here, and like you said, it's so synthetic that they're only led to stuff that's going to keep them hooked on something that's not real. So when you keep feeding yourself that information, then you're just going to draw into that pit. But if you feed yourself on, like for me being a Christian, it's like, how can I grow closer to God? And more importantly, how can God use me to do what I need to do to glorify his kingdom? So I think the more you kind of get into that pit of selfishness, I think the more lost you get, and the more you look for things like Colin was saying, you look to these different things that don't work and you just keep running into dead ends, or you go about the way you live your life and you're doing it the right way because it's no longer about you. It's about something else. Alex, you got anything?
Alex, any thoughts?
Come on, Alex, jump
I'm
in here too.
soaking
It's
it
kind of
up.
like a round table now.
No, I think along the lines of like where culture is going now. If I put like optimistic glasses on, I would hope that they're starting to shift back away from social media. I feel like culture in general like shifted so heavy into social media, now AI, and that it's like we've overgone that way, and people just so depend on it and get all their information and social interaction from a phone screen that hopefully it's all going to shift back in an overly positive way back to more like in person, more like you said, something real, something authentic, instead of just constantly being on a phone and connecting there. So if I put optimistic glasses on, that's where I hope that everything is shifting back.
Yeah, you see optimistic 2020. This kind of got heavy. I'm gonna bring it. I've been working out. Okay, so we talked about it a little at the beginning. Prof's Pizza has exploded, and
Ooh, that's
so
what we
not just-
really came here for.
not just author, not just doctor, not just teacher,
Oh my
not just
gosh.
deacon, not just philosophizer, like expert chef, like across the country. Talk about like the people who want your pizza from LA to DC to Austin, Texas.
Oh man. So the pizza thing is a ton of fun. I have a pop-up pizza thing that I run here and do in Nacogdoches. I've always loved feeding people. I love getting people together and around the meal and around a table. I guess it was like 2021. I got a pizza oven and I started making pizza, and I was like, it's okay. Like it's okay. And then I just like kept working on it and kept working on it. And I was like, I think it's good. But because in Nac, there's not a good pizza joint. And I feel like as a college town, like college towns, like you have to have
You got to
a
have good
pizza
pizza,
joint.
man. Like, gosh.
Gotta have a good pizza joint. And there's like fine. But like if you ask most people in Nac, it's like, what's your favorite pizza? It's like Pizza Hut. And like, no shade. I've eaten so
Oof.
many personal pans in my lifetime. But like, right, like no one is just like thrilled to go to Pizza Hut. You're just like, all right, I'm gonna pick on, I'll go pick up the pizza Hut. You know what I mean? So anyway, so I started doing the pizza thing, and it started off with me doing it with friends, and then like there are people who just like follow my Instagram account and will come and buy my pizza, which is just always kind of funny. And my wife is just like, I would never go and buy pizza from someone's Instagram account. Whereas I like totally would. I love food and I love doing it. And so for me, the pizza is I don't know. It's a fun exercise to get out there and just kind of interact with different people, feed different people, and give people good food.
You're
And
really
like when people
underselling
eat
this.
You
There's-
really are. And it's such a unique thing. And like the only thing I've seen from like the cool movies is like, how they do it in the movies with the pizza or whatever. Like how realistic is that? Is it easier than you thought it would be, or is it harder than you thought it would be to make consistently good pizza?
And talk about the ingredients you use. These aren't Walmart ingredients.
What's your best one? Like someone comes in, like Jesus himself, he comes back down again, he goes, Hunter, I need your best pizza right now. Like, what are you serving up to him?
I need some salt.
So
Some
here's
salt
the
in it.
thing is, again, the theme of this whole podcast might be tension, but like the tension that I have in my pizza making world is, on the one hand, I am just like on a quest to make the best pepperoni pizza that you have ever had in your entire life. And just like the most basic, right? Like it's just like, I want the perfect crust, I want the perfect sauce, I want the perfect cheese, like ratio's got to be perfect. Like, you know what I mean? It's like simple, basic, but just like incredible. And I think I've gotten pretty close, to be honest with you.
Whoa.
And I say that as someone who's made hundreds and hundreds of pizza, but I'm never
way
done.
closer than Pizza Hut.
Yes, but I am just like a constant tinker, and this is like it kind of feeds the same side of my brain as writing does, just like constant tinkering. Like, what about this flour? What if we try that? What about I just mess with. I constantly can change everything. So on the one hand, it's just like, what if I just do the perfect classic? But then at the same time, I just love going like crazy creative. And you're just like, what if we just go bonkers and just do the goofiest pizza that no one would ever have thought to eat? And so my latest kind of creation in that world, I've been doing a pop-up market here in Nacogdoches. It's the first Saturday of the month. I don't do it every month, but I enjoy doing it when I can. It's called Market on Main, but it's from 9 to 1. And so at that time, I was like, I kind of need a breakfast item. Like, I need something to do. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make a breakfast pizza. And I was like, I don't know how to make a breakfast pizza, but we're going to make a breakfast pizza. And so I call it going into the lab, but like I just made a bunch of pizza dough, and what it settled on, no pizza sauce. It's just olive oil, cheese, bacon, roasted potatoes, and then I crack an egg in the middle of it. And the pizza oven I have, it cooks it at like 900 degrees, so it cooks in less than a minute. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Whoa, because I'm a big sauce guy. So like you kind of lost me, and then I came right back, and then the 900-degree thing. Less than a minute, like I'm here. I'm all about it now.
And so, but
Speed guy.
at that time, like I just dumb luck. Like, it is the perfect amount of time to cook the dough and melt the cheese and like crisp up the bacon and the potatoes, but also like give you a perfect like over medium fried egg. And so the egg in the middle, like the yolk, like comes out. And then the kicker was, I thought the answer forever was going to be hot sauce, because I wanted it to be. I hope y'all's grandmothers make breakfast casserole. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Breakfast casserole. Yeah. So like that was what I was chasing. I was like
Subpar, but
chasing. Oh man. You need to come meet Mama B. Mama B is
Mama B be
crushes
cooking.
it.
She'd be cooking.
But that's kind of like the bite that I was going after as I did it. And like the savory, like the hot sauce, just like I couldn't do it. And so the thing that's finished, so cook it, come out, and then I do like a swirl of maple syrup on top there at the end.
Whoa, that is.
And
I'm back. I'm all in now. Come on.
Yeah,
How much?
it's
I need to invest.
it's really great. Like it is a really weird, but also like really yummy pizza. So, but y'all come on out. I'd love to have you
heck
make
yeah.
some pizza.
I will definitely make a trip for some pizza. That's for sure.
Let's
So,
do it.
okay. Well, we told you an hour. We're trying to stick to it, but like we didn't even get into fly fishing, and that's all I wanted to talk about. We didn't even talk about deer hunting at Mama B's. That's all I wanted to talk about. But we'll wrap up with just hunter, because I wanted to be selfish and now I don't get to be. We'll keep it on you or whatever. So you told me before we started, you have a talk coming up at SMU. Can you talk about that a little bit on December 4th?
Yeah, so the book's coming out December 3rd, which is great. You have no say. You have no say. You have no say over a lot of things in your book, which is an interesting thing.
Interesting.
Including the title. Title changed like 5 or 6 times. I'm really happy with where it ended up. But anyway, so I wanted to do some sort of kind of like event, book release party, and again trying to get people together on December 3rd. That's not a Christmas party. Just didn't seem like a great idea. And so I was invited to do this talk. It's at the Center for Presidential History at SMU, Thursday night, 6 to about 7:30, I think. And yeah, it's going to be kind of a condensed version of the book, a book talk. Going to go for about 45 minutes. And then time for Q&A. And then I'm actually doing book signing afterwards.
What? Let's pull.
Yeah,
that's huge.
I'm gonna have to practice that. So yeah, I'm really excited to go and do that, and get it to SMU. And I don't know, but I do know that the SMU football coach is pretty outspoken evangelical, and so it'd be cool if he was there to. I'd love to just talk to him about his view of all of this stuff, but that's probably wishful thinking at this point. I will say in that, and like in the book overall, it is really funny, unexpected outcomes of the book. It's like it just shaped my rooting interest. Not that I'm like necessarily fans of any of these teams, but I'm just like, it would be kind of great
As if they did really good.
A Notre Dame BYU national championship. That'd be kind of great for the book.
Where can I read more about these teams?
Where can I learn?
Where can we set up like a
more
holy
about the
war
history?
in the biggest of
like where
stages?
where can we talk about, like, does anybody know anything about the history of these two teams?
Something about gridiron.
Like,
and
hey, Kirk Street, move over. Nick Saban, Pat McAfee, get out of here. Let me tell you something about Henry
Hunter
Ford
Hampton on
and
College
the
Game
gridiron.
Day.
Let me tell you about the pancake gridiron real quick.
This was tough because, again, I was born in Lubbock, Texas. My grandparents had Texas Tech season tickets. I can still sing every word of the Tech Fight song. And so, like,
I was going to say that is a loyal fan base right there.
Yeah, last week it was tough though. I was just like, man, I could use a BYUW here. It'd be good for the book. So anyway,
Well, that I coach girls volleyball, and I know their BYU's football team is pretty good. But have you seen like their dance team and their mascot just like get after it?
Get after it,
is incredible.
Dude.
Like he's doing double backflips while they're dancing. It's crazy
impressive.
to see. Yeah. That was me advocating for my kids. Okay, Hunter. Thank you for coming on. Every time you come on, like it really is fun, and we never have enough time. But it usually revolves around the same thing: food, faith, and football. And those are the three things that bring most men together, and most of our listeners really enjoy that. So, one, your book is available for pre-order on Amazon right now. It's called The Gridiron Gospel. Go pre-order it. Go to SMU. He'll sign it for you. And then you can just chat with him and the SMU football coach who we will call and get there for that event. You can follow him on Instagram at Profs Pizza because you'll get the most accurate information about where to get his pizza, and you can see all the pictures. Like he was kind of underselling it. He has themed pizzas, breakfast, Halloween, all the stuff. He experiments with the barbecue pizza with one of the Texas Monthly's highest rated barbecue on his pizza. Like he's doing big things, and he came back for our podcast after the disaster the first time. So Hunter, thank you for coming back. Thank you for being with us. I think it was a little more smooth internet wise this time.
It was.
I appreciate it, fellas. It was really fun. Thanks for having me.
Yes, appreciate you, man. Good luck to you.
Definitely missed the intro.
Yeah, you weren't here. Yeah. It was really good. I worked all day on it, actually.
I'm just glad that we finally came back. We got our redemption. We had solid internet. Alex had a blank stare the entire time and then came in real solid with his question or his comment after about 15 seconds of awkward silence. Round table style, baby.
Nailed it.
No, I thought it was good. And we have his book pre-ordered, and it's supposed to be like really good. And like you got it from the podcast. He's just like such an intelligent person. So like when I read this book, I know I'm gonna like learn a lot both about football and like the intersection between like the gospel. It's gonna be really good. You can order on Amazon now, Gridiron Gospel. You'll see his face all over our promotions and social media, and then you'll be like, "Oh, that's the guy. I know him. We're cool." That's a man.
He signed my book at SMU. He was a real good time with a real bad friend. An in-person podcast coming soon. I'm
Alex,
so excited.
I don't know if you knew about this.
I heard about it at the end of the last one.
Welcome back. Yeah, we're gonna be live at Summer Moon. There's a guest, and actually, since you don't know, Colin and I kind of know. You could probably go back and read, but don't do that. So actually, that would be pretty cool if it was a surprise to you. So let's go ahead and hold off on you looking at anything. Let's delete our text.
Didn't y'all text that this morning?
Yeah, I mean, we could have, but it's okay. Alex,
this is not the time.
Surprised.
Who?
God, back off, dude. Okay, I miss your bad internet where you can't say anything. Anyway,
you asked one question today. I think you get the floor. It's great.
Dude, so live in-person podcast coming to Summer Moon. We're going to be on site, and we're going to have a very special guest to where Colin can relive the best times with the worst of friends and sworn enemies. It's going to be like the Capulets and the Montagues. Montagues? Yeah. We're reading Romeo and Juliet right now, so I'm actually super cultured.
Spoken like a teacher.
Hunter's not the only person that knows smart stuff from the 1600s, okay?
Good times, bad friends.